How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that, because of the hatred of this press corps, are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that?
Last night, Donald Trump took his tiny little fingers to Truth Social to announce that this morning, Pete Hegseth would be holding the press conference to end all press conferences that he'd be attacking the fake news media going after their lies, which was really just reporting of actual intelligence that was leaked out of Pete Hegseth's own Pentagon. But nevertheless, Donald Trump's posting was not just an anticipation of the event. He was also live tweeting it essentially as Pete Hegseth melted down and lost his mind. But he was just as bad as Trump. We're going to get into those posts. And of course this disastrous press conference. But first, let's start with how Pete Hegseth opened it. Leaker, what a surprise.
It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated. Choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years, and no other presidents had the courage to actually do.
Pete Hegseth and Carolyn Leavitt continue to do this. And of course, they're such bad liars. They're such bad stooges of Donald Trump, but they continue to go after the leaker. They're saying, oh, the leaker, what a horrible person. This is the worst thing that ever happened. This is the biggest failure right now. It's the fact that there are leaks instead of maybe the failure that the leaks are about. Pete Hegseth won't address the fact that Donald Trump has been lying about his unsuccessful military operation. He just wants to attack those who are sharing the intelligence about it. Mind you, members of Congress had their intelligence briefing canceled by Donald Trump, so they have no information on the strikes or what's coming next even. And so without this leak, we would have zero information. And Pete Hegseth, yeah, that's exactly where he wants us, because he also understands nothing, which is why he continued to attack a reporter just to her face when questioned over one of the biggest failures of this operation that we can see right here.
I've seen that suggests that we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations.
That's not the question, though. It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally. what the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the
issues.
the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So
absolutely
we're looking at all aspects of intelligence.
It really is a full circle moment that the reason why Donald Trump was launching this strike on Iran was to destroy their uranium, but because he was posting about it before they were able to move it out of their facilities, which is exactly what Pete Hegseth was trying to cover up, what Pete Hegseth was lying about. And now he's attacking a reporter for it. And all the same time, Donald Trump is still posting the original problem he continues to do. He was live tweeting this press conference. It was an absolute mess. Just let's take a look at what he had to say. Trump wrote on Truth Social, "One of the greatest, most professional, and most confirming news conferences I've ever seen. The fake news should fire everyone involved in this witch hunt and apologize to our great warriors and everyone else." Trump also writing the cars and small trucks at the site, referring to the uranium that was moved, were those of concrete workers trying to cover up the top of the shafts. Nothing was taken out of the facility would take too long, too dangerous, and very heavy and hard to move. So that's just insane, and Trump is trying to provide a little backing, a little cover to Pete Hegseth's death. But what's so interesting here is two things on the second tweet. Donald, if you know for certain that no uranium was moved out of those facilities, why not show us the intelligence? This is a thing that we see so consistently from an administration that says it's the most transparent in history. They're unwilling to share anything that confirms the story that they're telling, because the story that they're telling is a lie. But Trump also has been presenting this narrative as we go about the reporting on his military failure, which is that the press speaking to how Trump's operation was unsuccessful and calling out his lie, claiming that that is an act that is unpatriotic. That is how Donald Trump wants to frame reporting, as unpatriotic. The job of the free press is unpatriotic, which is funny because he's the one who just held the least patriotic patriotic birthday parade. He was pretending, oh, I love our troops, when it was really just an exercise in vanity. And no one has gone after the service members who have so bravely served this country more than Donald Trump, not just with his words, but his actions. And John Ossoff broke all that down, talking about the way that this guy who claims he loves our troops has treated them. I want to take a look right here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again, Mr. Secretary. So just to start with the basics here, Mr. Secretary, the total all-in request for FY26 is $441.2 billion, correct? Yes. Okay,
Yes.
And how much of your medical services request is for personnel? And how many personnel through this medical services request do you intend to employ in FY26?
At the current, and I also have, I have my budget, Andrew, here as well, if there's the numbers that we need, if Mr. Chairman, with yours. The issue that you brought up is right now there are currently 465,000 employees in VA as a whole. VHA has 409,000 of those.
I'm so sorry, Mr. The question is, how many staff do you intend to employ through the medical services budget in FY26?
Do we, Andrew? 396,000. 396,000.
396,000.
Yes.
Okay. The FY25 request, and just to be clear, that's intended staffing of medical services in FY26? Say the number again.
395? 396,000.
396,000. Okay.
Yes.
How many physicians do you intend to employ in FY26?
Physicians.
physicians, we employ a large number of physicians.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Andrew is our budget. Right now, we currently have 28,868 physicians.
Yeah, so how many physicians do you intend to employ in FY '26?
We're not cutting physicians, so at this point in time, under that budget, we're still looking
So,
to continue at 28,868 at minimum, because we're also having to add physicians which are not, which are exempt. So we're adding
Here's
those
what we
as we can.
usually,
And because,
this is, for example, the budget request from '25, and it specifies that for '25, we're requested 25,099 physicians. So we usually get this in advance of this hearing. So my question is just how many doctors you intend to employ?
yeah, and at this point in time, I'll take that and get it back to you. I don't, as I told you yesterday on the phone, there'll be some more information coming later this week.
Okay, how about dentists?
Same answer.
Do you have the number for nurses?
We currently employ 91,040. I'll have the.
But my question is how many to
And
be-
I understand, and the breakdown will be provided as I said yesterday.
Okay, well, how have you calculated the money you need for personnel without having yet decided how many personnel to employ?
In the breakdown of the budget, which right now is still going on, these are the numbers that we are using to go forward from last year's budget into this year's budget. And at this point, there is also a gap in how many we have currently hired and not hired. And so at this point, I'll have the numbers for you that we've not provided yet. We'll be providing those numbers.
But you've proposed about $17 or $18 billion cut to the medical services account, correct?
That is not, the president's budget makes adjustments to the funding that devote additional funding appropriate fund to community care. This is not a cut to total to funding to VHA. In fact, the total medical care budget grew by 17% to $24 billion.
Not medical care, medical services. So here's your,
Okay.
just to be clear, I mean, the chairman mentioned this, we usually get
I understand completely.
specifies how many folks you intend to employ. We have a 26-page PowerPoint, but in that 26-page PowerPoint, here are specified about $17 billion in cuts to the medical services budget. So what are you cutting in medical services? Specifically, who are you cutting, since that's exclusively personnel?
Again, and this is the issue that we have right now, and I'll just state this for either of us to go back in circles. We'll be providing more of those numbers, as I said yesterday on our phone call this week. So at this point in time, the numbers that we're providing are the numbers that we have at this point. I'll be happy to talk to you further about those later.
And understand that's why we usually get these in advance of this hearing. I mean, I'm wondering if we need to reconvene having received the full budget request. Because the thing that is causing a lot of consternation is this proposed $17, $18 billion cut to medical services. I mean, and so today is the budget hearing where you justify the budget request. So how do you justify this cut to medical services, and who are you going to fire in order to pay for it?
And I'll go back to the same answer I gave you just a few minutes ago. I mean, in this process, we'll have the more information on that part of it as we go forward. The basis of the budget was based on our workforce as it existed and moving forward, and the numbers have not been cut to the medical
I'm sorry, yes,
the
it
care
has.
budget.
You have in your PowerPoint here $17 to $18 billion in cuts to medical services. Again, this is a 26-page PowerPoint to justify the budget. So, and this is the budget hearing. So who's getting fired? I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if we need to reconvene after they send us the materials, but I think this is insufficient. Clearly, and I'll follow up in my next round. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The way that Donald Trump has attacked and undermined the VA is disgraceful. Again, he is trying to present this narrative as if always, one, he is the victim, but two, we're not caring enough about those who carried out this brave mission, and it was a brave mission. No one is saying anything to the contrary, but Donald, if you care so much about those who've served, why not protect them, support them, treat them with dignity when they come home? And it's fundamentally something that this Trump administration has done the opposite of. So you can really spare me all the whining and complaints that Caitlin Collins is responsible for homelessness veterans when you're the one cutting benefits to those who have served. It is not the reporting that points out that Donald Trump is a failure as commander-in-chief and that Pete Hegseth is unqualified for this job. The reason we see leaks coming out of the Pentagon, and at the same time, you think it's a whiny complaint fest. No, I'm not tolerating that. Good on John Oath, actually. I'm going to have a link to support his campaign at the top comment of this video, but also if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.